The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. Time for another edition of the Battle of Pennsylvania. Did the Penguins even the series with 2 games left to play in Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena? Let us see how Chapter 2 from Philadelphia went down. Pens and Flyers. It's Battle of Pennsylvania time on Penguins Postgame, and it starts right now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Penguins Postgame. Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers as the Penguins begin a 3-game road trip that continues this week. Happy December month to all of you. Hope everybody in the United States, as we ended the month of November, had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you joining us, I should say. I want to remind you that you can catch all of this action across the Sports for Beginners and On the Ice and Behind the Benches podcast feeds all year long for as many games as we will be able to cover, as I believe the league is going to 84 games next season. With that being said, let's get right down to business. It's time to talk Pens and Flyers. Here we go, kicking it off. Oh yeah, the Penguins come into this game fresh off of a 7-2 loss against the Toronto Maple Leafs, in which the Maple Leafs have taken a 2-0 advantage, in the season series between the Pens and the Maple Leafs. You can watch my reaction to the game on Sports for Beginners, as well as On the Ice and Behind the Benches, as well as my reaction to this game, which featured the 12-6-5 Penguins at the time against the 14-7-3 Philadelphia Flyers. The Philadelphia Flyers are now 14-8-3. And to reiterate the Penguin record, it was actually 12-7-5 coming into this game. Philadelphia's record 14-7-3 coming in. The records after this game, after game 2, Philadelphia with a record right now of 14-8-3. Pittsburgh with a record of 13-7-5 after game 2 of the Battle of Pennsylvania. Let's get into the game, starting with the goaltenders and the coaches. Let's jump with the coaches before we get to going between the pipes. And we'll go to the officiating crew later in our show, as well as when this game started and when it was scheduled to start. We will give you a look at the PWHL schedule and remind you of our next coverage of the PWHL, that coming later in the show. Here we go. So it's Dan Muse versus Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet and Dan Muse going head-to-head for Chapter 2 of the Battle of Pennsylvania rivalry. Here in the 2025-2026 season, the Philadelphia Flyers won Chapter 1 of the 2025-2026 season series by a final score of 3-2 in a shootout back in Philadelphia at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, formerly known as the Wells Fargo Center. Game 2 took place last night on December 1st, 2025. Our final score that we're going to get into momentarily after going between the pipes, which we're going to do in a second. Penguins 5, Flyers 1. Penguins beat the Flyers 5-1, and we'll get into how it all happened just in a few moments. But first, let's go between the pipes. Between the pipes for the Penguins in this one would go to Tristan Jarry. Jarry getting the start after being in relief of Artur Shilovs, who got the start against the Toronto Maple Leafs and was not very happy with his performance against Toronto. He would be in at backup in case Jarry needed it against the Philadelphia Flyers. 35 and 37 on the Penguin benches. And between the pipes, for the Philadelphia Flyers and Rick Tocchet, they would go with number 80, Dan Valdar. There we go, Dan Valdar, going with the assignment between the pipes this game. Samuel Ersson, number 33, in at backup if needed. And one last thing before we jump into the action at Xfinity Mobile Arena. This game was slated to start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, and started 9 minutes after those time slots. Also on the Mountain Time, that's 5 p.m. Mountain, midnight in the UK, 9 minutes after midnight in the UK, and in Sweden and France, 9 minutes after 1 in the morning. All right, let's get to it. Enough gab. Let's get to it. Game 2, Chapter 2, 2025 season between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's get to it. Kicking things off the same way we did with the Toronto Maple Leaf game by going first through the penalty takers, and a bit of a questionable penalty even after the game when I was listening to Brian Metzer and Paul Steigerwald talk about the game on the Penguins radio network after the game ended. I like the fact that the Penguins got the win. I like it that we got the win, Penguins fans. I like that. I really do. But I don't think a penalty should have just been given to Pittsburgh on the slashing call that Garnet Hathaway drew at 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Don't think Blake Lizotte should have been charged with that penalty. I really don't. I feel like even though that is what the call was, I feel like it should have been the man who served the penalty for Blake Lizotte who was guilty of the penalty on Garnet Hathaway. That's just my feeling. I feel like Anthony Mantha should have gotten the penalty for slashing because Blake Lizotte, and I haven't had a chance to check the highlights out yet, but I'll do that after we're done here. Maybe I can get a clearer understanding of what happened on the Garnet Hathaway penalty to Blake Lizotte. But I understand there was blood on Blake Lizotte, so hopefully he is okay. Maybe he was the person guilty of slashing Garnet Hathaway. Either way, I feel like there should have been another penalty called in that first period. That was the only penalty in the first period called. The Flyers doing a nice job of staying out of the penalty box in the first period. But I feel like a penalty against Philadelphia should have been called even after what went down with Blake Lizotte and Garnet Hathaway. Again, it is what it is, but I just don't agree with just Blake Lizotte going for 2 minutes. I think that should have been a 4-on-4 hockey match. I don't think anybody should have got the power play there, but it is what it is. Period number 2 in the penalty summary. Oh, that was eventful with penalties. 4 penalties in the period to Pittsburgh. The first went to Erik Karlsson. 2 minutes for tripping. Travis Konecny able to draw the penalty on Erik Karlsson. Connor Clifton going to the box later. Interference. Matej Mitrovic able to draw the penalty on Connor Clifton. Both of those penalties for Pittsburgh coming at 3 minutes and 40 seconds, as well as 4 minutes and 23 seconds. And then the third consecutive penalty that came in that time span at 5 minutes and 36 seconds. 5 minutes, 36 seconds. Travis Konecny once again drawing a penalty. This time, Christopher Letang going to the box for high sticking. The Flyers would indeed get 3 penalties in this game in the second period, that is. First would go to Rodrigo A, 2-minute minor for holding. Ryan Graves able to draw the penalty on Rodrigo A. Sean Couturier guilty of a holding penalty later at 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Ryan Shea able to draw the penalty on Sean Couturier. The penalty that went to Rodrigo A coming in at 7 minutes and 50 seconds of the second period. Final penalty of the period for the Penguins in the second period of play would go to captain Sidney Crosby. 2-minute minor for tripping Emil Andre able to draw the penalty on Crosby for tripping at 17 minutes and 12 seconds. However, Chris Letang drew a penalty on Emil Andre 2 minutes for interference a minute later, 18 minutes and 30 seconds. In the third period, only 2 penalties called on Pittsburgh. One went to Ville Kovanen. I know a few players were making their season debut for the Penguins, including Rutger McGorty, who joined the team again. 2-minute minor for interference on Ville Kovanen. Bobby Brink able to draw that penalty early third period. 3 minutes and 12 seconds was the time when the penalty was called. Ryan Graves drew a penalty in the second period. Let's draw one here in the third period. He draws a penalty to Matevei Mitrovic. 2-minute minor for slashing at 12 minutes and 3 seconds. And at 19 minutes and 50 seconds, Anthony Mantha went to the box. 2 minutes for cross-checking. Owen Tippett drawing the penalty on Anthony Mantha. All right, gonna take a timeout. When we come back to Penguins postgame, how did the Penguins beat the Philadelphia Flyers 5-1? Was there a goal to be called back that probably should have counted? Well, if you ask Paul Staggerwald, shout out to you, Staggy, it should have counted for Evgeny Malkin. But the goal was called as it was called. It's just not a good call. Find out what led up to it and led up to our final score, ultimately 5-1 Penguins over the Flyers, as well as December number 1 out-of-town scoreboard. We'll look at the other 4 games of the 5-game slate coming up on Penguins postgame. Also coming up, the 3 stars of the game from the Battle of Pennsylvania, as well as our final stats brought up through where we were shared on a screen, brought up through the NHL.com website. Log on to NHL.com for all the latest news, highlights, and analysis from your favorite team and the league, and log on to the team's official website to get everything from post-game interviews, morning skate interviews, bonus coverage, some stuff you would see behind closed doors, etc. The Battle of Pennsylvania continues on Penguins postgame on its new home of On the Ice and Behind the Benches and Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
Hi, Scott. It's Ali here. I just wanted to mention that I'm really enjoying the show and I'm really enjoying what you're putting together. And I wanted to just say I'm enjoying being a part of it as well. So please keep up the phenomenal work and make sure you guys keep this podcast going because it really suits you well.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8:00 p.m. and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for the Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
It's the Penguins and the Flyers, Chapter 2 of the 2026-2025 regular season edition of the Battle of Pennsylvania, otherwise known as the Battle of PA. 2025 regular season Chapter 2 edition of the program on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, rather, as well as on the ice and behind the benches, and we continue on here. We've talked about the penalties, went over who was between the pipes, who the coaches are, where the games stand, where the action stands, I should say, in terms of records. The one thing we didn't do off the top, before we jump into the scoring that we're going to get into now, who was officiating? Let's meet the officiators, and then we'll get right down to scoring. The referees for this matchup on Monday night, December 1st, 2025, as we are recording this on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, they were wearing the numbers 31 and number 6, Michael Markovic, I should say, and number 6 was worn by Francis Charon. France was wearing the number 6. Francis Charon. There we go. I got that right. If I pronounced it wrong, maybe I didn't add the other R. I apologize, France. I apologize, Francis, I should say. The linesman or linesperson for this game, also to round out the officiating crew, wearing the numbers 65 was Tommy Hughes, and number 81 worn by Ryan Daisy in pinstripes. The pinstripes were being worn as number 31, number 6, 81, and 65. Those were Michael Markovic, Francis Charon, Ryan Daisy, and Tommy Hughes. All right, let's jump to the game. Previously, we went over our penalty summary. Let's go to the scoring, which started with even strength goals, including the 17th goal of the year off the stick of number 87 himself, who loves playing against the Philadelphia Flyers, Sidney Crosby, his 17th goal of the season, and he loves playing in Philly. He loves playing against the Flyers. His 17th goal of the season gives Pittsburgh an early lead at 9 minutes and 18 seconds. The primary assist went to Brian Rust, his 12th of the season. Anthony Mantha with the secondary assist, his 7th of the season. Pittsburgh, despite the penalty that was taken 6 minutes and 59 seconds in, just before the goal was scored, coming out of period number 1, being outshot 8-7 for the game and after the first 20 minutes of play, but they have the lead 1-0. 1 goal lead for the Penguins going to the second 20 minutes of play. Let's go to that 20 minutes of play, the second period of play. 3 power play goals to speak of. 1 to the Flyers, 2 in the period to the Penguins. Let's go to the Flyers score. This was after the penalty to Connor Clifton, which was a 5-on-3 power play goal, PPG for PHI, short form for Philadelphia. Number 71, Tyson Forster, with his 10th goal of the season. Travis Konechny, primary assist. His 15th of the year. Trevor Zegras, his 16th assist of the season, comes in at the secondary assist. We're tied up at 1 at 5 minutes and 36 seconds in. But the Flyers are still on the power play. Eventually, the Penguins do kill off. It's a power play goal for Philly to tie the game. But now Philadelphia went on the PK. Really? Yep, they did. At 8 minutes and 8 seconds, Sidney Crosby picks up the second power play of the period, first power play goal of the game for the Penguins, second goal of the season, or of the game, I should say, for Crosby. 18th goal of the season. A PPG for PGH puts Pittsburgh back in front. It's 2-1 Pens. And just like the first period, when Crosby scored the even strength goal, Brian Rust with the primary assist. His second assist of the day, 13th of the season. Erik Karlsson switching over from Anthony Mantha for Carlson's first assist of the day, 15th of the season. Penguins up 2-1. Now, this goal was also a power play goal, but guess what? Not scored by Crosby. Crosby didn't get the hat trick right out of the gate? No, Crosby didn't get the hat trick tonight against the Flyers on Monday, I should say. But he came very, very close to doing so. Brian Rust picks up the 8th goal of his season. And you know what that means, folks, in Pittsburgh. Hope you're enjoying it today as we prepare for the Tampa Bay Lightning coming up in this road trip. That's a 3-game road trip. But with his 8th goal of the season, you know what that means. Head on over to the Milkshake Factory for half-off Rusty Shakes in Pittsburgh. Evgeny Malkin with his 19th assist of the season, first assist of the game. Karlsson, meanwhile, with his 16th assist of the season, second of the game, second PPG for PGH of the game. This one coming at 15 minutes, 52 seconds. Penguins up 3-1. So it seemed they would be up 3-1, which they were at the end of 40 minutes of play. So they were outshot, not really, by the Flyers in the first period, 8-7. They turned up the heat 9-6 in the second period, but the Flyers for the game found themselves trailing at that point 16-14. 16-14 Penguins over the Flyers for the game now. Oh, but by golly, in the third, we had quite the third period for you. I'll start with what didn't make the scoreboard because I put it up there even though it was challenged and deemed no goal. So Evgeny Malkin almost had his 7th goal of the season, and I think he really should have, which would have made it 4-1 Penguins either way. Anthony Mantha with the primary assist, his 8th of the year. Ryan Shea with his 9th assist of the year. Ryan Shea without an assist in this game so far. But unfortunately, the Flyers challenge for goaltender interference. After review, there was goaltender interference resulting in no goal. So this score will stay right where it is after the Brian Rust power play goal before the end of the second period, which was the second power play goal for Pittsburgh of the night. A little later, this one will count, and it is the third PPG for PGH of the night. Tommy Novak, his third goal of the season, and it's a power play goal at 13 minutes and 52 seconds, makes it 4-1 Penguins. Christopher Letang with his 9th assist of the season. Evgeny Malkin picking up his 20th assist of the season and second assist of the game. So Karlsson, Malkin with 2 assists on the game. Brian Rust also with 2 assists. Anthony Mantha, Chris Letang, and Parker Wotherspoon each with 1 assist. We talked about Kevin Hayes when he scored his first goal in black and gold as a Penguin. Well, in the second showdown against his former team in the Battle of Pennsylvania, he scores his second goal in black and gold, in Pittsburgh black and gold, and it's against his former team. This happened later in the third period. At the 15-minute and 33-second mark, Parker Wotherspoon, the former Boston Bruin, finds Kevin Hayes for Kevin Hayes' second goal of the game, second goal of the season, I should say. Parker's 8th assist of the season, 5-1 Pens, which would ultimately be our final score, but it could have been 6-1 if the goal by Evgeny Malkin did count. Unfortunately, no goal called on the successful challenge from Rick Tocchet, who challenged for goaltender interference and got the call. Final shots on goal for the third period and for the game, 15 for the Flyers, and 11 for the Penguins after the game ended. Ultimately, the Penguins would be outshot, not really, 29-27 in the shots on goal tally. And we'll talk about that more in a bit. 3 stars of the game coming up in just a few moments. But first, while we have our shared screen on, let's go around the league and take a look at just 3 of those other 4 games of the 5-game slate going on. We'll begin in St. Louis, where the St. Louis Blues fell 4-1 at the hands of the Anaheim Ducks. Mason McTavish getting things started. Jordan Kyrou quickly turned quick, but after that, Leo Carlsson, Chris Kreider, and of course, Pavel quickly turned the tide back in Anaheim's favor, and the Blues could not come back from it. Over in Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres pulled off a 5-1 win of their very own. Jason Zucker, former Penguin, getting the party started on the power play. Bowen Byram, Josh Norris followed suit later. Kyle Connor would get the Jets on the board, but at that time, they were only trailing by 2 goals. Eventually, it would become 3 and then 4 after goals by Alex Tuck, and a second goal of the game by Josh Norris. Josh Norris picking up his first 2 goals of the year in the 5-1 win over the Jets. And down in the Shark Tank, that leaves us with the Blue Jackets and the Devils. But down in the Shark Tank, the Utah Mammoth score 3 goals, but it's the Sharks picking up the win. 6-3 the final. Tyler Toffoli getting things started. Lawson Krause got things started for the Mammoth. Oh, by the way, Toffoli had a few goals in this game. Lawson Krause with 2 goals. The other goal scored by the Mammoth would go to J.J. Petrarca, and other goals scored there by the Sharks. Well, you could tell who they are. Sharks win that one 6-3. All right. What was the final between the Devils and the Blue Jackets? You can see it on the screen here. But before we get down to that, let's keep it going here on our final score, 5-1. Penguins over the Flyers, 5-1. They even the season series against Philadelphia with this 5-1 win. Let's take a look at the 3 stars of the game, brought to you by on the Philadelphia and the Pittsburgh Penguins TV and radio network, their respective sponsors. Here we go. Your 3rd star of this game went to Penguins defenseman Erik Karlsson. 2 points, 2 assists, no goals on the day. Your 2nd star went to Penguins right wing Brian Rust. 2 goals, 2 assists, 3 points. And your 1st star went to the captain himself, number 87, Sidney Crosby. 2 goals, 2 points, 2 assists. No assists. Crosby, Rust, and Karlsson, your 3 stars of the game. Have a difference in opinion in the 3 stars of the game? Let us know by sending an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com or by connecting with us on WhatsApp through our WhatsApp group chat, also available on the Ice and Behind the Benches, and probably later available on Sports for Beginners. If you have trouble with the Discord server due to accessibility trouble, please refer to the WhatsApp group chat, which will be brought up in the description of this episode. All right. Game, puck of the game, play of the game, shake of the game. We know the shake of the game as our player of the game segment. Those are still to come. But before segment 2 of our Battle of Pennsylvania Take 2, 2025-2026 Chapter 2 season series wraps up, let's wrap it up here by looking at our game totals. Penguins, as I mentioned, being outshot 29-27 after the game by the Philadelphia Flyers. This game saw 55 faceoffs, Philadelphia winning 27 of the 55, Pittsburgh winning 28 out of 55 faceoffs. They won just about 51% of those faceoffs at 50.9%. Philadelphia winning 49.1%, just about 49% of the faceoffs were won by Philadelphia. Both teams making quite a battle on the PK and the power play. Philadelphia going 1 for on the PK as the Penguins score 3 times on the power play. They go 3 for 4. They go 3 for 4 on the power play this game. On the penalty kill, the Penguins go 5 for 6, killing off 5 of the 6 penalties they took, with the exception of the goal scored by Tyson Forster. And with that said, Philadelphia 1 for 6 on the power play, 1 for 4 on the penalty kill, 3 for 4 the Penguins on the power play, 5 for 6 on the PK. They had 12 blocked shots, the Penguins did. The Flyers with 13 blocked shots. They out-hit the Penguins 27-18. The Penguins spending the majority of the time in the penalty box, 14 minutes. Philadelphia only spending 8 minutes in the box, but the majority of the penalty minutes went to Pittsburgh at 14 minutes. Wrapping things up here with the giveaways and takeaways. Penguins winning that battle 15-20 as the Flyers took the puck away twice, but the Penguins did it 7 times. They end the game with 7 takeaways to Philadelphia's 2 takeaways. Philadelphia with too many giveaways, 20 giveaways for Philadelphia and 15 giveaways for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Wow, okay, interesting. All right, play of the game. A look back at the out-of-town scoreboard from Monday. We'll get you a look at how the Devils and Blue Jackets game went down. Plus, where do the standings stand heading into tonight's action? 10 games on the slate. We'll reveal at least 4 of them before getting to our shake of the game. All of this coming up after the play of the game, which we'll do on the other side. Stick with us. Penguins postgame will continue with the Battle of PA in just a little bit. On the ice and behind the benches, and sports for beginners. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. There's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for beginners will be right back in a moment.
Hello? How are you, my friend? Why? What's the matter? Why feeling bored and lonely? Look! Look at me! I am always happy. The only reason? I can tell you, it's because I listen to CNT Radio. All the best shows you can think of. The Melting Pot, the Cosmopolitan Culture Club, and the Song Bank. There are also many more new shows to come. Please make sure to visit her website at http://sienna-t.wordpress.com/sienna-t-radio. Oh, now I can hear you more cheerful. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Look Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
Today it was revealed and made official by the Toronto Blue Jays. Today it was made official by the Toronto Blue Jays that they have indeed, yes, they have indeed signed Dylan Cease to the contract that we have been hearing a report about. Dylan Cease has signed his 7-year contract. So yes, it is official. Dylan Cease, as being reported, he will be a Toronto Blue Jay for the 2026 regular season, as well as remaining seasons, including 2027, after signing a 7-year deal with the Blue Jays. He is the only pitcher to strike out 200 plus batters from every season from 2021 to 2025. The only pitcher to strike out 200 plus batters. Dylan Cease also, with some interesting stats here to pick up, he is a 2-time top 5 Cy Young finished second in 2022, and last year, as we approach the end of 2025, I'm going to say in 2024, he finished 4th in Cy Young voting. He has a career ERA 3.88, 1,150 strikeouts since 2020, which is the most in the MLB, and a career WAR of 21.0. Strikeouts or Ks in 9 innings in 2025. Led the MLB. Dylan Cease did lead the MLB with 11.52 Ks through 9 innings. And he is a 32 plus starts in each of the last 5 seasons. He's had 32 plus starts each of the last 5 seasons. Are you excited, Blue Jay fans, that Dylan Cease is a Blue Jay? Are you excited? I am. I'm looking forward to what he can do for the Toronto Blue Jays. But enough about that. It's time to continue on with more from Penguins Postgame. All right, we're at the point of the show where we are getting close to the shake of the game and game puck of the game. Before we do that, I'm sticking true to my promise. We're going to do the play of the game before we go back out to December 1st's out-of-town scoreboard and reveal the other final score from that Devils and Blue Jackets game. The other game, one of the other games that was going down on December 1st. Play of the game, you know what? I want to say it's the Evgeny Malkin no goal call, but honestly, I can't really pick that play. I really can't. But again, credit to Paul Steigerwald on this. I do agree with him. I thought that goal in the third period by Evgeny Malkin should have counted before Tommy Novak scored on the power play. I thought that should have counted. It's an ugly goal, or an ugly call rather, that should have been a goal, but clearly there was goaltender interference. And I'm pretty sure the ref is probably going to say to Evgeny Malkin, if he looks back at the video and says, oh, there wasn't goaltender interference, I wasn't able to overturn that call, even though he did overturn it, he'll probably say to Evgeny Malkin, look, sorry, I made a bad call, my bad. He'll probably do that, but we'll see. Anyways, play of the game for me, I got to take you back to Crosby's second goal of the game. This was Crosby's second goal of the game, but it was also his 18th of the season. And it's good enough for my play of the game. Here are the men on the call from Sportsnet Pittsburgh. For all audio highlights that we do, all credit to the NHL, the team the Pittsburgh Penguins are playing here on Penguins Postgame. in this case, the Philadelphia Flyers, and of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins. All credit also to the audio that we have here, Sportsnet Pittsburgh, with my boy Josh Getzoff. And I believe since Colby had the radio time with Joe Brand for this one, the old 2-9er Phil Borg could be Mike Rupp. Let's hear what. Let's Josh and Sportsnet Pittsburgh, take it away. Play of the game. Crosby strikes again with power play goal, PPG for PGH. Enjoy. Good enough for my play of the game.
Second in the NHL, and they did score. It was Ben Kindle against Toronto on Saturday. Carlson to rush right in the slot. Crosby scores! Tic-tac-toe, and the Penguins on a power play goal take the lead back. The captain is 2. What a pass here by Brian Ruff. As he sells it, he gets everybody and his mother's brother to bite on this one, and then deftly sends a beautiful tape-to-tape backhand pass right into the wheelhouse. Baby, you dream about these ones when you put your pillow on the head and you...
I bet you do, but I bet you do. I bet you do, Phil Borg. I bet you do. By the way, as that's good enough for my play of the game, it's important to note that Crosby is just 8 points away from tying Mario for the franchise points lead, or points record, I should say, after his 18th goal of the year. That puts him now 7 points away from tying Mario Lemieux for the most points in Penguins franchise. By the way, Dan Valder became the 167th goalie Crosby has scored against, and it's the 9th road game this year the Pens have scored first. So with that being said, Crosby joins quite some good company. Penguins PR put this out 17 hours ago, so before we came on the air, obviously. But here are the top goal skaters, and right there, Crosby's right smack dab in the middle, passing Kirill Kaprizov with now 18 goals on the season. Kirill with 17. Connor Bedard with 16. And Connor Bedard is actually tied for 5th in goals in top skaters. Morgan Geekie and Nathan MacKinnon both tied for 1st with the most goals in the NHL in top skaters. They both have 20 goals. Crosby is just 3 goals away from taking that lead right from Nathan MacKinnon and Morgan Geekie. Kirill Kaprizov is a goal behind Sidney Crosby. Connor Bedard is 2 goals away from Sidney Crosby, but as is a player he is tied with. Dan Muse speaking after the game on the 5-on-5 game, saying our 5-on-5 game was much better, and then obviously special teams ended up playing a big role in today's game as well. Tristan Jarry from the response, or on the response after a tough outing against Toronto. We had a day off in between, and I think just being able to reset there, we watched some film, we got here, and we were able to change some things. I think we were able to come out better for it today. Brian Rust on what it's like watching Sidney Crosby put on a show in Philadelphia. He has fun playing the villain, and I think he enjoys it. I don't know if he'll come out and say it, but I think he enjoys it. Wow, okay. That's interesting to talk about there, Brian Rust. Apparently Crosby he likes playing the villain. I mean, whether you're talking about who's the hero or who's the villain in the Battle of Pennsylvania, I don't know who you want to call the hero or the villain. So that's something up for debate. I might want to have a conversation with Hunter Hoodies or of Locked On Penguins, or one of the hosts of the Philadelphia Flyers show, Locked On Flyers. Both shows, Locked On Penguins and Locked On Flyers, do great jobs covering the team. Haven't really listened to a Locked On Flyers show yet on Locked On, but perhaps I will before the season is up. Rutger McGorty had a great first game back with the big club, and he joined Colby Armstrong and Joe Brand post-game to discuss his road back from injury and more. By the way, you already know this if you listen to the radio network, but in case you didn't, providing you the official burger of the Pittsburgh Penguins, McDonald's had a offer for you Penguins fans, courtesy of Kevin Hayes. He bought you all Big Macs in Pittsburgh on rivalry night against the Flyers. What a night for the Penguins. Not only did Penguin fans get half off Rusty Shakes after this game against their state rival in the Philadelphia Flyers, but they also got Big Macs because Kevin Hayes just provided Pittsburgh fans in Pittsburgh at their local Pittsburgh retailers the official burger of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He just bought everybody Big Macs at McDonald's. If the Penguins scored during the Big Mac attack in the final 5 minutes of the third period this season after the game, for however long the offer is valid, with purchase, head to your local McDonald's in Pittsburgh and get your free Big Mac with your purchase. All right, stats of the game done, play of the game done. Oh yeah. Before we get down to the shake of the game, let's go take a look back at our December look around and the last game we were left with from December's action of the 5 games on, besides the Penguins being one of 2 teams to win 5-1 on Monday night. The Sabres, the other team to do so. We had one 5-3 final. That was the Blue Jackets winning 5-3 over the Devils. We had one 6-3 final, Sharks over the Mammoth 6-3. And 4-1 the final, Ducks over the Blues. We'll get a look at the schedule for December 2nd momentarily. Now let's go out of the shared screen and let's go to the game puck of the game. I know I'm a Canadian Penguins fan, but I think this segment right here, shake of the game, let alone the game puck of the game, which we'll get to momentarily, deserves a sponsor. So if you are interested in sponsoring one of these segments, the shake of the game or the game puck of the game for our hockey programs on Sports for Beginners or on the ice and behind the benches, send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com and we'll connect with you. You can also get in on the action by doing it through Discord, WhatsApp, however your favorite podcast platform works, or by. So who's gonna get the lucky shake of the game, our game player of the game in the shake of the game? Who's gonna get it lucky for the Penguins or the Flyers today? Well, despite it going 5-1 in favor of the Pens, we're gonna be giving here, as we are in the giving season, we're gonna give out 2 shakes of the game. One will be an honorable mention. The other will be, to quote, the player of the game, as we call it, the shake of the game. First up, that's going to go to Penguins goal scorer and former Philadelphia Flyer, Kevin Hayes, scores a goal, which is the only point he got. And I really like what I saw from Kevin Hayes in this one. I thought he played pretty well. Honorable mention to one of the players jumping into the fold here. For the players that were scratched for the Penguins, they had no Matthew Dumba and no Jonah Koponen, no Nicholas Delarius or Igor. I'm going to go with no Nicholas D or Igor Zamula, I should say. There we go. I got it right that time. For the Philadelphia Flyers, for the Penguins, no Matthew Dumba and no Jonah Koponen. So Rutger McGorty and Boko Imama made their season debuts coming up from Wilkes-Barre. Our honorable mention is going to go to Rutger McGorty. 2 shots on goal, 3 hits of the time that he was on the ice, 17 shifts, 12 minutes, and 31 seconds. Not too shabby for Rutger McGorty, but I do feel like McGorty could play a little bit longer. Maybe he scores at some point. He gets the honorable mention. Boko Imama also making his season debut. Had a pretty interesting game as well. Our shake of the game, by the way, went to Kevin Hayes, the former Philadelphia Flyer. He is our player of the game, shake of the game recipient. For the Philadelphia Flyers, that is going to go to goal scorer Tyson Forrester, with the honorable mention shake of the game going to Dan Valdar. 5 goals given up, 3 on the power play, 2 at even strength. Still had a pretty good night. 22 saves on 27 shots. Save percentage 815. Not exactly ideal, but the dude still did play 60 minutes despite giving up 5 goals, 3 on the power play and 2 at even strength. All right, game puck of the game on the other side. But before we go to break, the final break of the show, and we're going to do this off of the shared screen. It's time to get you set up for some action around the National Hockey League tonight at the time of our recording. I'm opening up the CBS Sports app, even though I had the NHL app open. Download the apps to follow your favorite team all year long. And of course, for CBS Sports, download the app to keep up to date with all the latest happenings around sports leagues, MLB, NHL, WNBA, etc., etc. Tonight, in the 7 p.m. slot, we have a couple of games at 7 p.m., including a 7:30 p.m. game, which features the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers take on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 7:30 p.m. tonight, coming up in roughly 3 hours from now, almost 2 hours from now. So under 3 hours. Also under 3 hours from now at 7 p.m. Eastern, the 15-0 Boston Bruins are in the Motor City to take on the 13-11-2 Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings had an off day on Monday, so they are back in action tonight. Also in the 7 p.m. slate, the 12-9-4 Ottawa Senators are in Montreal to face the 13-8-3 Montreal Canadiens. In the Big Apple, the 17-5-4 Dallas Stars are taking on the 13-12-2 New York Rangers. And last but certainly not least, the 16-7-2 Tampa Bay Lightning facing off against the 13-10-3 New York Islanders. Those face-offs at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. And for the Maple Leafs and Panthers game, that's at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific. Action continues at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and then 10 p.m. It wraps up around 10:30 p.m. with the Washington Capitals 15-9-2 against the 12-6-7 LA Kings. At 10 p.m., since we're running over that schedule, Connor Bedard and the 11-9-5 Chicago Blackhawks are in Vegas to take on the 11-6-8 Vegas Golden Knights and the 9-14-4 Calgary Flames are in Nashville to take on the 8-13-4 Nashville Predators. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. At 9 p.m., the 14-7-5 Minnesota Wild face the 11-10-5 Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton. And down in Denver, the 18-1-6 Colorado Avalanche host the 10-13-3 Vancouver Canucks. So lots of action coming up and a couple of Canadian matchups coming up. An all-Canadian matchup between the Canadiens and the Senators. Other Canadian teams are elsewhere. The Oilers are hosting the Minnesota Wild. Vancouver is in Denver against the Colorado Avalanche. And the Calgary Flames are in Nashville. Meanwhile, the Toronto Maple Leafs are in Florida, continuing their road trip, and they are coming into Florida fresh off a 7-2 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins on Saturday night. Alrighty, just about ready to wrap this one up, but we got to get to the game puck of the game. When we do, it will be on the other side of a 30-second timeout and a word from our good friend Nick Blazewitz over at Sienna T Radio. Also, we'll hear from our friends over at Broadcast Map. I should say over at the Ali Musa Show, because Broadcast Map is now the Ali Musa Show, as the Ali and Makara's Books podcast is also called the Ali and Makara Show. We'll hear from that, come back, and wrap it up with the game puck of the game, reiterating the shake of the game. And then it's time to set the scene for the next 5 for the Penguins and the next 5 for the Philadelphia Flyers. The Battle of Pennsylvania is on the air on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches, and wraps up on the other side. Game puck of the game is next, followed by what's next for the Flyers, what's next for the Pens, and when will the Battle of Pennsylvania continue? Those answers next. Don't go anywhere. there's more great conversations and content right around the corner. Sports for Beginners will be right back in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
What a busy traffic on this Friday evening. I am almost stuck in this traffic for the last 40 minutes. And there is no way, I think, for me to get to the show. The CNT Radio Song Bank, which is going to start very shortly. It's one of my favorite shows. And my, what a way to wind down for the weekend. Perfect 2 hours of fun-filled music. And she has so many great features. Sound of Music, Undercover, Foreign Exchange. Name That Tune. And the big wheel that she spins for Who's That or Where Are We? We cannot forget about the international stage. I have never come across such a great show in my life. I think I will have to press hard on my accelerator and go as fast as I can to get home in time. Wow! Wow! Look! I made it! I am almost there! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. Now, let's take you back to the action. To the rink and field we go. We find Scott McGregor.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Nick, for the updated version of the Melting Pot. That was an AI covered by Nick, as we seem to have been having some issues with his music, and Nick was kind enough to send me a AI version of the Melting Pot ad. Thank you, Nick, for doing that. Catch Nick every Saturday up till the holiday season, and of course, unless he's not able to do so, every Saturday morning on the East Coast from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Central Time, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. in the UK, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. over in Sweden and in France as well. There's also the action of the Classical Cafe. But without further ado, let's keep this show rolling. Reminder of our Shake of the Games recipients. They went to former Philadelphia Flyer Kevin Hayes. The honorable mention for the Penguins Shake of the Game went to Rutger McGorty. The Shake of the Game on the Flyers side went to Tyson Forrester, with the honorable mention going to goaltender Dan Valdar. There we go. And speaking of whom, he is going to get the game puck of the game, Dan Valdar, for the Dan Valdar for the Philadelphia Flyers. He is going to get the game puck of the game. Runner-up for that would be Travis Konechny, who looked like he was going to be a bit of a problem, but he only had 2 shots on goal this game. Konechny looked like he was going to be a bit of a problem for the Penguins, but literally the problem here was actually Trevor Zegras. Trevor Zegras was really a problem for Tristan Jarry. 6 shots on goal, and neither of them went in the net. So Jarry had to be really good on Trevor Zegras. But Travis Konechny gets the honorable mention for the game puck of the game. The game puck of the game for Philadelphia going to Dan Valdar. There we go. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, the game puck of the game, that is going to go to, I'm coming for you, Mario. I'm coming for you, Mario. That is going to go to the captain of the Penguins, who scored 2 goals in this game, once on the power play and once at even strength. He's coming for you, Mario. He's coming for the points. He's coming for the lead. He's coming for your record, Mario, in the franchise points leader. Sid is coming for you, Mario. He's now 7 points away from tying Mario Lemieux for the most points record by a Penguins player in Penguins franchise history, with 2 goals today against the Philadelphia Flyers. And he loves playing Philadelphia. As I mentioned with Brian Rust's comment, he doesn't know if Crosby will come out and say it, but he loves playing the villain in Philadelphia. He doesn't know if Crosby's going to come out and say it. Apparently Crosby does love playing the villain. And with that said, honorable mention to the Penguins goaltending score. That would be Tristan Jarry. 28 saves, 29 shots, 1 goal given up. It was given up on the power play. Save percentage was .966, and a total of 60 minutes played. All right, game puck of the game out of the way. Let's get to the next 5 games for the Penguins and the Flyers. But first, this series between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia is tied, and now it shifts from Philly to the Burgh. These next 2 games will be played in the Burgh inside PPG Paints Arena. First game will be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific on January 15th, 2026. In the Battle of Pennsylvania rivalry in 2025-2026 is regular season. Chapter 3 starts in Pittsburgh. Chapter 4, our final chapter of 2025-2026, wraps things up in March on March 7th. Puck drops in Pittsburgh at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central, 2:30 Pacific. We will have all that coverage as much as we can. Maybe we'll at least get the first one of PPG Paints Arena between the Battle of Pennsylvania. Maybe we'll at least get one more of those, as that will be around more. It'll be around an interesting time for us as a podcast as we get back ready to get going for the baseball season in 2026. Anywho, one more thing before we jump to the next 5, which will be capped off here on the NHL app. Download the app to follow your favorite team all year long. Your final score on Monday, December 1st, 2025, to end Chapter 2 of the 2025-2026 Battle of Pennsylvania rivalry. Penguins 5, Flyers 1. The Penguins' next 5 include a 5-game homestand where they will host the Anaheim Ducks, Montreal Canadiens, San Jose Sharks, Utah Mammoth, and the Edmonton Oilers. But first, their 3-game road trip continues with Game 2 Thursday night at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific, as they battle the Tampa Bay Lightning in Tampa. And that is when we are going to talk to you next for the next episode of Sports for Beginners Penguins hockey coverage. We'll have a nice little Friday episode dedicated to Penguins hockey, recapping the Pens and the Bolts on episode number 31. 2 episodes in one day. One with a pre-recorded interview with the one, the only, Erica Lindsay Ayala of Black Rosie Media joining me in the studio. She joined me last Wednesday to talk PWHL, Seattle Kraken, and much more. You'll get that episode before episode 31 of season 4, which will be a recap of the Pens and the Bolts. The Pens and the Bolts. Then our coverage of On the Ice and Behind the Benches and Sports for Beginners continues as the Penguins go to Dallas for a 6 p.m. Eastern puck drop, 5 p.m. Central puck drop, 3 p.m. Pacific puck drop in Dallas, Texas on December 7th. That's this Sunday. So a game on Thursday, game on Sunday, another game on Tuesday next week. That's against the Anaheim Ducks, and that will be in Pittsburgh to kick off a 5-game homestand that will feature the Ducks, the Canadiens, the Sharks, the Mammoth, and the Oilers to wrap up the next 5. 3 of those games are in the next 5 at home. They are against the Anaheim Ducks on Tuesday, December 9th, next Tuesday, and next Thursday against the Montreal Canadiens, as well as next Saturday, December 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern, when the Sharks come to Pittsburgh for a little afternoon hockey. But the month of the Olympics is 2 months away, and the season has only just gotten started. We're into the next month. We're through the month of April, the month of October, the month of November. We're into the 3rd month of the season, and before the Penguins and the Flyers wrap things up for the regular season, they'll face each other on Saturday, March 7th at 5:30 p.m. in Pittsburgh, and that's Eastern time. But before that, you gotta get past the month of December and 2025 on a high note, heading into 2026 to keep that season going. That'll do it for us here on I forgot. I need to talk Flyers before we wrap it up. I was forgetting. Oops. Next 5 for the Philadelphia Flyers as their December schedule continues. They are currently on a homestand that began with the Pittsburgh Penguins and continues tomorrow. At the time of our recording is Tuesday, December 7th, 2025. The game between the Penguins and the Flyers was on Monday, December 1st, 2025. Their next 5 include a couple of home games against the Buffalo Sabres this Wednesday, tomorrow. This Sunday, I should say, against Colorado. Colorado is in town this Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern as the Flyers host Nathan McKinnon. Next Tuesday on December the 9th, they will host the San Jose Sharks. Next Thursday, December 11th, they host the Vegas Golden Knights, and they wrap up their 6-game homestand with a visit from the Carolina Hurricanes next Saturday, December 13th, 2025. Not this Saturday, December 6th, next Saturday, December 13th. From there, 5. So their next 5 are home games against Buffalo, Colorado, San Jose, Vegas, and Carolina. From there, they will go on a 4-game road trip in Carolina, as that is a back-to-back, wrapping up a homestand and starting a road trip. Then they're off to Montreal, Buffalo, and New York before a 4-game road trip starts at the Christmas break. I should say a 5-game road trip starts at the Christmas break with a showdown in Chicago after a quick pit stop against Vancouver before the Christmas break. Then after Chicago and the Christmas break, the Seattle Kraken will host the Philadelphia Flyers as they start their road trip after the break with the Kraken, the Canucks, Calgary Flames, and the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, they will start the road trip with Chicago, then go on the Christmas break, then head out to Seattle, off day on Monday, the last Monday of 2025, then 2 games back-to-back, the eve before New Year's Eve, and on New Year's, they will be in Calgary on New Year's Eve. They will be in Vancouver on the eve of New Year's Eve. That'll do it for us now on Penguins Postgame. Penguins beat the Flyers 5-1. We'll do it all again on January 15th, 2025 for Chapter 3 of the 2025-2026 season rivalry, going down from PPG Paints Arena And then in 2 months' time after that game on January 15th, we wrap it all up in March on March 7th, which is a Saturday. Puck drops at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. That is it for us. We'll talk to you on the next episode of Penguins Postgame, which will be a season episode of Sports for Beginners Season 5, when we talk Pens and Bolts, Pens and Lightning. And then our coverage of on the ice and behind the benches continues as we talk Penguins and Stars. But for now, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. And as Mike Lang always says after every Penguin win, ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. My name is Scott McGregor. Until we talk to you after Penguins and the Bolts, let's go Pens. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.